out on opposite corners. So I'll be quite interested to see which one we get here.
It is a very, very weird spawn, I must say, over here. We do have the two slopes leading up to the player's bases super close to each other, so we have sort of a limited amount of wood on the north, a lot of gold down south in a very, very open space, but the distance between the two players are just very minor here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they could be going fisticuffs pretty quickly. Now, as far as the choke point for the Chinese, I would say they got a little bit of a better base setup. You can see their choke point in the front is going to be much easier to wall. Whereas the Abbasid one is almost twice the width there. It's very, very wide. So that's going to be a little bit tougher to defend against pressure. And that can sometimes happen on the hill and dale. But nonetheless, I don't think it's going to be like a huge deciding factor, but it could play into effect a little bit later on.
Absolutely. This is very, very difficult to defend for MarineLorD. It's a very, very wide gap out there. He's playing Abbasids on the left side in blue, and on the right side is Vortix in red with Chinese. Going for that beautiful mill position over there. It's sort of the meta with the Chinese to go for that supervised mill with the herdables, so the sheep. But if you can also place it on the hunt, it's even better.
Yeah, this is like prime time, man. It doesn't get any better than this. Of course, the supervisor are going to be granting 20% more food drop off there. You get that deer camp. You can bring your sheep back there. And of course, pretty much every Chinese player and their dog and cat and third cousin is going to be going for the Grand Theft Venison, right? You're going to be seeing a bunch of scouts coming out from supervised stable at age 2. The scouts will bring it back here, and you're just going to have like a huge, huge economic boom. And then you don't really have to worry too much about, transitioning to a farm economy for quite some time.
The magic of this Chinese build is that you can benefit from that mill multiple ways. First of all, as you said, it's more food income because you drop off more. You get passive gold income with that, so you don't really have to mine a lot of gold in Dark Age. And as you said, after that you can just transition that to professional scouts, and you can even supervise the mill to accelerate that research. So you can get that upgrade up very fast, and then move that Imperial officer to supervise the stable for the scouts.
Dude, and look at that sheep haul. That is such a great haul. I mean, he's got 10 sheep, and let's look at the Abbasid here. We'll look for the Abbasid scout on the map. Yeah, he's got like 4 or 5 sheep right now with him. So, man, a really, really good haul here by Vortix with those sheep. I mean, he's going to be just cackling with all that food back there. And it looks like we are going to be seeing the no Dark Age gold build from China, where basically you just use the tax collector to bring back gold to go to the second age, which, of course, gives you a pretty nice little economic boom there. It's a little bit slower. If you go to gold quicker, you can get to the feudal ages slightly faster, but I do like this build quite a bit, and I think it will be very, very good for him. But he might not have the gold banked for the Grand Theft, for the professional scouts.
Yeah, that's always a question over here. Obviously, you can just delay your mining camp, and that saves you a bunch of wood in case you're not going for gold mining. The more interesting thing is that if you're not mining gold yourself, it's unlikely that you're going for the Song Dynasty, because you would need quite a lot of gold for that. So you will delay your Song Dynasty quite a bit if you're just going for the tax gold income.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trade-off there. Now, back in the old Abbasid base, we do have the economic wing coming out, which I don't know if I've ever seen an Abbasid player on the higher levels go for anything other than economic. Fresh food stuffs is just so good. So basically, it's a research from the House of Wisdom, which is unlocked through the economic wing, which reduces the cost of villagers by 50%. So it might not seem like a lot, but your villagers going from 50 to 25 is super nice. And yeah, Abbasid are already walling off their lands. Look at that. We have palisades up in the northwest and the northeast. And they are going to be getting early stone as well, probably to try and have that timing where your second TC is ready as soon as you get to the feudal ages.
Now, Vortix sees the stone mine. That's a very important piece of information for him. So we talked about the fact that this matchup was played before, but also MarineLorD probably assumes that Vortix may have looked at the games and said, okay, I have to play something different. The key thing here for Vortix is that he sees what his opponent is up to. So Vortix himself can just play defensive, and you see that's exactly what he's doing. He's not even scared about any push, so he's not even going for the Barbican of the Sun, just goes for the Imperial Academy right at the beginning. And that's where his gold will come for the majority of the feudal age here. He will just have an insane amount of tax income with the Imperial Academy and the supervised mill.
Yeah, the Imperial Academy is pretty sweet. Generates 100% more tax gold to the nearby buildings. So that's going to be hitting the mining camp, the mill, as well as the lumber camp. So beautiful positioning there by Vortix. And of course, I think he's going to be going to TC. I think the stone is a very big tell. I don't think we're going to be seeing any stonewall rushes coming in from China or keep rushes in the Castle Age, although that would be very fun. But it is going to be the Song boom versus the fresh foodstuffs boom. So it looks like we're going to be in for most likely a Castle Age duel between these two players.
I think that the Chinese have to be satisfied with this because while the fresh foodstuffs Abbasid boom is definitely efficient at the beginning when you don't have a lot of food to work with, but it's still a generic production rate for the villagers, whereas the Song Double Town Center boom is just a massive advantage when it comes to villager production rate. And of course, you also get the tax gold income, so there is some added benefits as well. So, in general, if the Chinese can just play this 2,000er boom game, they'll be happy because they'll have the better economy.
Do you think? Could we live on a hope and a dream that we could perhaps see a triple TC from the Abbasid to try and keep up with Chinese song boom? What do you think? Do you think that could happen from MarineLorD here?
It's a possibility. I think Black Widow tried that against MarineLorD. MarineLorD was playing Chinese, and Black Widow went for free and then added a 4th town center.
A 4th town center? You went with 4?
Yep. I think in the end he had like 7, so he had like a bunch of town centers on lowland. The problem was that by the time those kicked in, MarineLorD had a massive economy advantage, and he was just turning that into army, and Black Widow just never had the army himself to fight that.
It makes sense. I mean, that's a pretty alpha move for sure. Most likely going to be a double TC, and we don't see the fresh foodstuffs coming out quite yet. China's setting up wooden palisades around the edges of their base just to be safe. We do have them on the south of the base, and we have not seen... Oh my god, look at this! Was it a bait and switch? Yes, it was! So look at the Chinese base. He pulled off stone here. He's setting up 2 archery ranges and also going for berries, but then he cancels his second one. Man, there's all sorts of schemes going on. Are we going to see some sort of a song push? I think we might.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, MarineLorD was just baiting. He knows exactly his opponent saw the stone mine. He keeps his window open for a town center because he's got the stone for it. But obviously, at this point, he wants to surprise his opponent. And keep in mind that Vortix's scout is trapped inside MarineLorD's base. So Vortix has absolutely no idea what's going on. There is the Barbican of the Sun coming in for Vortix. But, as I said, there is archers coming in as well for Vortix. So it kind of feels like he doesn't just want to play blind, that he wants to have some sort of map control with archers, and that's going to be life-saving for him. Because MarineLorD will also go for the archer push, but behind this one, Vortix has 2 town centers. Actually cancel the TC, so it's going to be 1 TC, but still a Song Dynasty, so there is going to be an economy advantage from that.
Yeah, it's like having 1.5 TC, and, you know, there is some benefit to having the scout trapped in the base, I suppose, in that he sees that there is no second TC. So, I mean, I'm sure Vortix knows there's some shady stuff going on. And down in the low ground with the triple proxy archery range, we have mass archers coming out. But China is also producing their own archers. I mean, China is not even really behind the archer count. In worst case scenario, the supervisor can jump on top of the archery range, and it essentially will function as triple archery range in terms of production. And now we have the barbecue of the sun up as well. So I think he's going to be okay against this early pressure.
Absolutely. As you said, Chinese have very fast reactions over here. And since Vortix saw that there is no town center coming up for MarineLorD, he knows some sort of aggression is coming, so he can just react with archers whenever needed. And we do have a ram push being prepared here by MarineLorD, but it's going to be difficult to pull off against this many archers, the Barbican of the Sun, the town center fire, potential villagers being pulled, and a new scout is being made here by Vortix, so he wants to know what's coming up against him here.
Yeah, I think that China is in a pretty good position to hold this. Now, looking back at the Abbasid base, we do not have the first Golden Age unlocked quite yet. He's got 6 buildings, so this is one of the issues with the proxy archery ranges, right? Is he's missing out on those 3 buildings for his Golden Age. So it is even more of a sacrifice than we're kind of accounting for. He could have that 10% gather rate across the board. But here comes the first battering ram moving in towards the Barbican of the Sun. And more archers are being poured in for the Abbasid. And here comes the aggression. Will the Chinese hold? It looks like he's building more archers from his archery range, but he still has not pulled his supervisor onto the archery range yet. So it looks like he's not quite panicking, but villagers are being pulled from the berry bushes to go after the ram.
Indeed, and now there is some supervising coming in. You could also go for a couple of Jugenu now that you are in the Song Dynasty, and look at that micro by Vortix. He jumps into the Barbican of the Sun, jumps out to get some hits in, and one ram should not be able to do that much over here.
I think we could perhaps see a second ram. If you look at MarineLorD's current resources, he's banking 253 wood. I think he's waiting for a second one. What's kind of cool about the Abbasid as well is even if this push doesn't work out, it is forcing a response from the Chinese. And Abbasid archers actually scale pretty well into the late game. They have the composite bows and the boot camp, so they can become pretty formidable. They don't fall off as much as archers from other civs do. And yeah, now we have the second ram coming out.
The Barbican of the Sun is still holding. Vortix so far hasn't shown his archers yet, so I think he wants to force a decisive engagement over here. He doesn't want his opponent to know that there is archers ready to fight this one.
And out of curiosity, why do you think he's not making the repeater crossbows? Rather, he's making basic archers? I think perhaps maybe just so he can bank gold, because of course the Jugnu, I'm probably mangling that name, but they do cost 30 gold. So maybe he's looking to go castle behind this pressure, just using his slight song boom that he is getting.
It's a possibility. He doesn't have an amazing gold income. He's got only 2 on gold. He could pop out a couple of them, but he might want to spend those on blacksmith upgrades, as he's now moving up with the archers and all the villas are being pulled to take down the rams.
Yeah, it's game time. This is going to be the battle. So Chinese are 15 archers against 20 of the Abbasid. So the Abbasid have a pretty substantial advantage. But again, it's not always about, just the numbers. It's about taking down the Rams. Those are very expensive investments. Currently, MarineLorD is only sitting on 262 wood, so he would have to spend all of his additional wood to make another ram. And it looks like both rams are going to be going down. And again, China can come back with the villagers due to their extra production.
Absolutely. There were a lot of losses there for Vortix, but he knew exactly that his opponent invested a lot of resources into that push. The rams are very expensive, and he knows exactly that his opponent is on 1 TC. So at the end of the day, it's 32 villagers for Vortix and 36 for MarineLorD. Vortix should be able to catch up in about 2 or so minutes at maximum, and he survived a push, stalled out a very, very expensive ram push. MarineLorD is not done yet, though. He's coming in with another battering ram, also for the villager here, so there's a chance that this villager will be used to repair.
Yeah, I mean, he's up a game in the series, so taking a little bit of risk here, I certainly understand. So the battering ram's moving in. The barbecue of the sun is kind of beat up too, though. It is down, and if I'm not... This is actually a question I have for you. I've never actually really looked at this myself, but if the barbecue of the sun does fall, I think that will disable the Song Dynasty, won't it?
I think I had a game, I had the same question in a Chinese game, 5 days ago or so.
Yeah, we'll find out.
And
I suppose.
I don't think that you lose your dynasty status, but I honestly forgot the outcome of that game. I think we had something like the Yuan dynasty, so...
Got it. Understood. Well, another battering ram coming out. MarineLorD going really, really aggressive here. And is he setting up a second TC behind this? No. I thought he might maybe keep a couple on stone, but yeah, he's spending all of his wood on the old Ramstein here. So I don't think that there is going to be a second TC. I think MarineLorD is just going to be pumping out archers until the sun and stars die out, and he is able to get in here one way or the other. But I mean, going around the Barbican of the Sun is an idea. Currently, the Abbasid are rocking about 24 archers, and the Chinese are rocking 25. So, okay, the Chinese actually have a numerical advantage for the first time in terms of archers.
And an even trade here is perfectly fine for Vortix because he's going to have the better economy, and it looks like we are going to have that trade coming in here.
Time for Mortal Kombat, man. Looks like the archers are getting down and dirty. The Chinese should have the advantage here because their supply lines are closer, so the Abbasid reinforcements are going to take a long time. And also, I think MarineLorD's going to be losing the ram. I think this is pretty decisive and probably will give China a lasting advantage for the rest of the game by pushing back these archers. And the ram might even fall as well, although it looks like he is wisely pulling back the ram. But the Abbasid really having a terrible trade here against the Chinese.
Absolutely. So terrible that MarineLorD just says, okay, I'm done. And that is the end of the game. Vortix, very nice defense over there. He was patiently building up his archer numbers and then forced a decisive engagement. That ram was a little behind when the archers moved in, so it wasn't there to soak up the arrow fire. And if you just look at the military count, it's fairly obvious where Vortix started just massacring those archers. And as you said, reinforcing is a lot easier, especially with that supervised archer range. And behind that one, if this push stalls out for Vortix, or for MarineLorD, Vortix will just have the economy advantage in MarineLorD.